2 girls are seen being manhandled by 5 grown-up men. The first girl calls out to Rita, who is her maid, and is also being held back by one of the men. They tear out the first girl's clothes, and Rita asks the men if they realize what will happen. But before she can complete what she was saying, the man holding her grabs her head and hits it to the ground. He tells her to worry about herself. 4 men pounce on the little miss, while one holds her back to watch what is going on. They open up her thighs, making her keep screaming that they stop. A knight suddenly appears at the scene and cuts down all of the men in a flash. The name of this man is Ark. Ark finds himself in another world and is beginning to freak out. He calms himself down and checks out the gear he's rocking. It's a set he knows, with resistances to light and fire, totally op armor, the armor of Belinus, his twilight cloak, darkness resistance, and mana regen. Then there's the shield of 2 Tates and the blade that's faster and brighter than lightning, the thunder sword, Khalidbalg. This is literally Ark's character from the game. Ark remembers falling asleep while playing. He's wondering if it's a dream, but holding the sword feels too real. Even though he's covered head to toe in metal, he doesn't feel the weight. He turns to a bush and decides to test the sword, using his Wyvern Slash skill. Dude, Wyvern Slash is so strong, it can take down a bunch of trees in one swing. He tries out his fire magic too, and bam, it works. He's wondering if he's stuck in the game, but it feels way too real. Last night, he was a knight with a side gig as a priest, so he shouldn't even be able to use mage fire magic. Ark wonders if he can use all the skills he unlocked as a knight. If so, he's seriously overpowered. He's gonna test out his other skills like any gamer would, but his stomach's like, yo, feed me. He tries using magic to open a gate to the nearest town, but instead, he just falls off the mountain. While climbing back up, he remembers that the gate only works to teleport you to towns you've already been to, which explains why it didn't work. He remembers another skill that should help him get around: Dimension Move. It's basically a short-range teleport. Ark gets to a stream and tries to get a drink, but when he takes off his mask and sees his reflection, he sees a freaking skeleton, and he's wondering if he accidentally equipped the skeleton avatar and knows he can't roll into town looking like that. Over at Louvierte Castle Town, everyone's buzzing about another giant basilisk sighting, hoping they don't run into it. Ark's walking downtown, and one of the shop owners is checking out his awesome gear. Ark needs to find some cash before he can buy something to eat. While walking down an alley, he overhears a dude and a lady talking. The guy's saying he couldn't deliver, even though she paid him double for the investigation. He says he still did the work, but it wasn't a payment on success kind of deal. Ark sees the lady as an elf and shouts, "That's awesome." He tries to chase after her, but she's gone as soon as he leaves the alley. Ark spots the Mercenary Guild emblem on top of a building. This is where you can grab quests and get paid. Ark walks in, and the dude behind the counter tells him he needs a mercenary license to take quests. But he already looks like a knight who's got a job. Ark says that circumstances are forcing him to get a license, and the guy says he's got to pass a trial, hunt a beast, monster, or bandit and bring back proof. So, Ark's hunting for something to beat up to get his license, and an orc jumps him. He one-shots the orc with his sword. First monster down. On the way back, he sees bandits attacking a lady and her maid. He watches as they tear the lady's clothes and almost take advantage of her before he jumps in and wipes out the bandits. 4 of them try to run, but he uses Wyvern Slash to take them all out. He goes back to the girls and asks if they're okay. Rita thanks him for saving them. Rita introduces the lady as Lauren Laraya du Louvierte, from the Louvierte family. Rita asks Ark if he's a knight working for some lord, based on his getup. He tells them to get dressed, and they can talk later. He torches the bandit corpses with his fire magic. While Lauren and Rita are looking away, Ark starts looting the bandits' horses for supplies. After they're dressed, Lauren and Rita thank Ark for helping them, and Ark says he's glad they're not hurt. Rita says they're heading back to the Louvierte house and invites him to come along. He rides the bandits' horses, while the girls ride in their carriage. Lauren keeps smiling at Ark. Ark returns to the Mercenary Guild with his proof for the license. They didn't expect him to bring it back so quickly, but he proves them wrong. They check the corpse, remind him to take the runestone off the orc, and hand it over with his mercenary license. Runestones can be used to make magic items and weapons. Ark's told to check the board for work. Nothing too crazy gets posted there, but if he wants the big jobs, he needs to join a mercenary guild. Ark decides to celebrate and orders food to his room. At the end of the day, Ark realizes he's seriously in another world with tons of skills to test out and all kinds of fantasy stuff to experience. Every morning, Marka's mom heads to the field as the sun comes up to help pick medicinal herbs. She works hard for Belinda and Marka. Ark's first job is guarding someone collecting medicinal herbs. He rolls into the village and gets pointed to Siona's place, just past the plaza. He gets to the house and knocks. Helena and her older sister, Marka, are eating when they hear the knock. Marka leaves her food to answer the door and is shocked to see the knight standing there. He says he's there for the job he was hired for. Marka lets him in and offers him tea, asking if he's really there for her job. He says yeah, and he's even interested in picking herbs. About the job, Marka asks if it's okay to head out right away, and he's like, no prob. She's hyped and tells him to let her get ready. On their way to snag some herbs, Ark's like, yo, Marka, is this herb thing, like, super urgent? Heard some gnarly fanged boars are messing with the village. He's all curious why she's in such a rush, and she spills that her mom's coming home soon. If she finds out about this boar thing, she'll totally freak. So like, keep it on the DL, okay? Marka's pops kicked the bucket last year, leaving her mom to handle things. Her dad used to pick herbs, so Marka thought she could help out and make her mom happy by doing the same. They're pretty deep in the woods now, and Marka points out this herb called kokora. It's awesome for cuts and scrapes, makes your skin glow, she adds. You can even burn it to keep the bugs away. Ark's impressed, like, whoa, you know your stuff. She says her dad taught her everything. If we go a little further, we can peep a kobumi tree. But as she starts to head that way, Ark spots something moving in the bushes. He's like, hold up. He checks it out and finds a hurt flying squirrel. He's a nice guy, so he heals it with magic. Marka's stoked. Dude, you can use healing spells? You're like a priest. The squirrel's all better and zooming around. Marka thinks the squirrel might want to tag along with Ark, and suggests he give it a name. First, he throws out fried tofu and tempura, but the squirrel ain't feeling it, since the squirrel's tail is fluffy like a dandelion, or tanpopo in Japanese. Ark mixes it up and suggests Panta. The squirrel digs it, so Panta it is. One of the villagers comes booking it back, totally freaked out by the monsters. They're like, yo, what's wrong? Thought it was just fanged boars? But the villager's like, nah man, these ain't no ordinary boars. I'm a seasoned hunter, and I've never seen anything like it. You better stay away from the forest. Then, Miss Siona shows up, and one of the village elders asks her if she sent Marka on some errand. Siona's confused, like, nah, she's supposed to be at home watching the house. The elder's all worried. There are some serious monsters in the woods, and I saw Marka heading out this morning with some fancy night dude. Meanwhile, Marka and Ark find the kobumi tree. It's surrounded by a super steep drop-off, which Marka just hops down like it's nothing. The kobumi tree is popping off. All its leaves are white. As Marka heads toward the tree, bam! A huge monster appears out of nowhere. This thing's got a tongue so long it can snatch birds out of the air. The monster tries to hit him with a poison fog, but Ark teleports them both out of there. Quick! Turns out it's a giant basilisk that spits poison fog, has claws that paralyze, and can even turn you to stone. This thing's packing a whole arsenal of status effects. A mid-tier player would be straight up toast. The basilisk keeps on attacking, and Ark keeps on blocking. It tries to get him with its tongue, but Ark just teleports away every time, dodging like a pro. Ark's feeling confident as long as he stays cautious and watches its moves. But something about the monster's movement feels off, like a bad sign from the game. The monster unleashes a skill that instantly turns everything in range to stone. Ark's gotta bust out the Shield of Two-Tates to save himself and Marka. Ark blocks a few more hits, then uses a combat skill from the top-tier Sacred Knight class. Judgment, a massive sword erupts from the ground, piercing the six-legged basilisk, and taking it down for good. Marka's blown away. Dude, that was epic. The whole village is gonna celebrate. Ark tells her to keep the details of the monster's death on the hush-hush, and she agrees after he insists. He notices a ring on the basilisk's leg, but as soon as he gets close, it vanishes. Ark figures the fanged boars near the village were probably running from this basilisk. He spots a fanged boar and takes it out, so he can bring it back to the village. He grabs the rune stone and the fangs, and asks them to tan the hide for Marka. The meat's for everyone. Siona sprints over to Marka and hugs her, tears in her eyes. She's super grateful, but also worried. Why did you go into the woods? I told you to stay put. Marka hands over the herbs she picked. Ark steps in and apologizes to Siona. It was my bad for taking Marka into the woods without asking. Please don't yell at her. I've never met a kid who cares so much about her mom. Siona smiles and thanks Ark. Meanwhile, in another part of the woods, some knights are throwing down with another basilisk. Some of them are already rocking the stone look. They're shooting arrows like crazy and manage to take it down. But the casualty report is rough. 15 dead and 38 injured. That's way worse than expected, even for an 8-meter basilisk. The other news is that someone else already took down a basilisk with a single hit. Whoever did that has got to be either a lord or the freaking devil. In the meantime, that elf from the alley is strolling through the woods, thinking about getting stronger than anyone else. The alliance between humans and elves is looking like a joke. Humans keep pushing into elven lands, and in this messed up world, nobody's gonna save the elves. That's why she's determined to become a warrior for the sake of her people, but her encounter with the Silver Knight is about to change her destiny. Ark's busting up some bandits inside a tunnel. They run into a dead end, and Ark takes them all down like it's nothing. He's been running these casual quests to pay the bills. After dealing with the bandits, he notices their war chest, full of loot. These guys were up to no good. He also sees 2 empty open cages. Ark tells Ponta to grab what they can and head home. Selska's reporting in about the assassination attempt on Lord Luvierte's daughter Lauren. It failed. Triton du Diento, the Lord of Diento, is pissed. How did you fail to kill a little girl? Selska explains that they killed all her guards, but some random mercenary showed up and wiped out their team. Tyron Dudiento asks about the beasts from the Eastern Empire they sent to the Louvierte lands. Selska says their contact in the East said the creatures were still in the experimental phase, which is why the two basilisks weren't working together so well. That's why they both got taken out. Selska wonders why Prince Dakares is targeting the Louvierte family. Tyron Dudiento thinks it might be a favor for his backers in the Eastern Empire. He figures if the North is under the prince's control, the East can focus on invading the West. Selska agrees that the Louvierte family has the support of Prince Sect from the Western Empire, so they can't risk their alliance with Prince Dakares getting out. Tyron tells Selska to secure their product and get it to market as soon as possible, but he warns him not to do anything that might catch Princess Yuriarna's attention. Ark's out of the tunnel and about to head back to town for a major chowdown when bam, he gets jumped by that elf chick. They're throwing down, and Ark is like, wait a sec, isn't she the elf I saw earlier? She's yelling at him to give back the kids he supposedly snatched, but he's all confused, saying there must be a misunderstanding. The fight pauses when Ponta pops out. The elf is shook. She recognizes Ponta as a Ventu Vulpes, and she's like, why the heck is a spirit creature hanging with some random bandit? Ponta's a cottontail fox spirit creature, for your information. Usually spirit creatures are super cautious and don't really vibe with elves. The elf then realizes Ark isn't the liar she thought he was, and apologizes for the surprise attack. He asks why she's even here, and she explains that she heard bandits have been hunting elves in the area. He tells her there aren't any elves locked up in the cave, sadly. Elves are worth big bucks in the slave trade, which is why they're targeted. Ark gets back home and has another epic feast. Now he's racking his brain about how to find that elf again because she barely even told him her name. But the next day, Ark uses his dimension move to teleport to the woods where he thinks the elf forest might be. He stumbles upon an elf getting chased by some bandits. They throw her into a cart with a bunch of others, and Ark's just chilling in the bushes, watching the whole thing go down. Even though the elf told Ark to stay out of elf business, he can't just sit there and do nothing. But before he can even make a move, the elf who attacked him earlier jumps out and starts wrecking the bandits. The bandits start yelling at Mr. Udolin that she's a dark elf, which is a rare find that would fetch a high price. Udolin's all like, do whatever you want, I'm not into feisty women. She's totally owning the bandits, and Ark, still hiding in the bushes, can see how strong she is. Then Udolan gets smart. He grabs the kids and uses them as human shields, threatening to off them if she makes a move. The other bandits start closing in on her, checking her out while she's defenseless. That's when Ark's voice booms out, telling her that even though he promised not to interfere, he's here to help. He dimension moves behind Udolan and slams him with his armor lariat attack, giving her the chance to finish off the remaining bandits. The younger elves are hyped to see her, and Ark busts open the padlock, freeing all the elves. He tells them he's a friend, and they have no reason to be scared. Turns out, the kid elves have mana eater collars around their necks. These collars stop them from using their spirit magic, which is why they couldn't escape. Ark uses uncursed magic to take the collars off, and healing magic to heal their injuries. The elf is super surprised by what just happened, and realizes Ark isn't just some regular knight. She whistles and calls a whispering fowl, which is a type of spirit creature that remembers speech and delivers messages. She uses it to send a message that 4 children have been rescued, and asks for someone to come pick them up. Humans usually can't tame spirit creatures, so whispering fowls are how elves communicate. Help arrives, and the kids go with them. The elf introduces herself to Ark as Ariane Glenny's Maple. She's an elf warrior, and is super grateful for what he did. The whispering fowl comes back, and tells Ariane that their headquarters is in the village of Diento, and she needs to get there as soon as possible to rescue the others. And earlier, Ark told her he was a mercenary, and now she asks if she can hire him right then and there. Even though some of the other elves might not be thrilled about it, Ariane wouldn't risk it if Ark was just any random human. But since he doesn't seem to have any prejudice against elves, save the kids, and is even accepted by a spirit creature, she decides to trust him and ask for his help in saving her people. Ark accepts the deal to be her mercenary. Ark uses his gate power to teleport himself and Ariane to the top of the mountain in front of the Lytle River. Diento is close now. At Diento, Ark and Ariane meet up with her colleague, Danka. She introduces Ark to Danka as a mercenary who's gonna help them out. To avoid causing a scene, they move somewhere else. They end up in a bar, but Ark refuses to eat because he's not taking off his helmet. No way. Ariane introduces Danka as Danka Neil Maple to Ark. Danka is also an elf warrior like Ariane, and she's been gathering intel. Ariane and Danka aren't actually sisters. They're both from the city of Maple in the Great Canada Forest, which is why they both have Maple in their names. Ariane explains to Danka that Ark is the mercenary who helped her fight off elf hunters in the forest, so she hired him to help with the rescue mission. She also mentions that Ark is no ordinary mercenary and can use teleportation magic. She also introduces Ponta, Ark's companion, and this confirms to Danka that Ark is trustable. Danka has figured out where the baddies are operating from. It's near the entertainment district. That's where they're likely holding the missing elves. The problem is that the area is still pretty lively, even late at night, so they'll need to wait until things quiet down a bit. Since they can't jump into action right away, Ark grabs his bag and says he'll be back in an hour because he's got some errands to run. Danka tells Ariane she's surprised she'd rely on an outsider, and Ariane says that if it wasn't for Ark's help, she'd probably be captured right now. She thinks she failed as a warrior because her sister, Even, would have handled the situation and probably won without breaking a sweat. Danka tells her that she's doing great for how young she is, and with more experience, she'll be just as good someday. Danka then asks if they can trust Ark, and Ariane assures her that they can. Ark makes some cash from the loot he snagged from the bandits earlier, and uses it to treat himself to Goa beef skewers, which is the same grub Danka and Ariane were munching on, plus some other goodies like seasonal fruit pizza, salt-grilled rainbow sword trout, and the Diento special honey beer. So, these other elf chicks got nabbed again by bandits. And get this, the bandits are planning on selling them off first thing in the morning. But one of the elves, she's got some sass. She walks right up to these dudes and tells them that some mega-strong warrior is gonna come bust them up and save the day. The bandits, of course, just laugh in her face and drag her around by her hair. But the other girls are still holding on to hope that someone's gonna come to their rescue. Night falls, and Ark, Danka, and Ariane are gearing up for their rescue mission. Little do they know, someone's been watching their every move. They creep up to the front of the building, and surprise, surprise, there are guards everywhere, even at the back entrance. Ariane is all like, once these elves are free, any bad guy we see is gonna get wrecked. She asks Ark if he can just teleport them to a window on the roof, and Ark's like, no prob, Bob. Ariane wants to move further back so the magic circle doesn't give them away, but Ark's all confident. Nah, we're good. He tells them to grab on, and bam, dimension move. They're instantly teleported to the window. Danka is even impressed by it. Ariane struggles to squeeze through the tiny window, but Ark just dimension moves himself and Danka right in. They start sneaking around, and in one of the rooms, they find a bunch of bandits code in their sleep with a single stab to the throat. The blood's still wet, so it just happened. They decide to split up to cover more ground and find the girls. Danka tells them to watch their backs. Ark uses dimension move to make his footsteps silent. He tries to open a door, but it's locked. So, boom, dimension move right through, and guess what? More dead bandits. He's wondering who the heck is doing all this when, bam, the girl who was watching them earlier jumps him. Ark's all like, whoa, furry-eared ninja. And she's like, how do you even know what a ninja is? She knows he's not just some regular goon, especially hanging out with a spirit creature. She asks if he's there to free the elves, and he asks if that's what she's after too. She says she didn't find what she was looking for, but she tells him where the elves are being held. She also mentions that 2 more elves are being held at the Lord's Manor, and then dips. He opens some documents the ninja girl gave him, and it turns out they're contracts for buying elf slaves with the Lord of Diento's name on them. Suddenly, more bandits rush in, shouting that they've got intruders. Looks like they have to fight their way out. Ariane lights her sword on fire and starts slicing and dicing, clearing a path. They finally make it to the basement where the girls are locked up, smashing all the bandits and guards along the way, and they free the girls. Ark uses Gate to teleport everyone to the top of a mountain, far, far away from that place. He notices these mana-eater collars on the girls, and uses uncursed magic to break them off. Danka's jaw drops. He can't believe Ark broke such a strong curse so easily, and starts wondering who this guy really is. The girls are super grateful, and Danka tells Ariane it's not over yet. He's gonna make sure the girls are safe, then he tells Ark to watch over Ariane, and with that, Ark and Ariane Dimension move to the Lord's Palace. Meanwhile, at the Lord's Palace, the remaining 2 elves are about to get seriously messed with. One of them tells the creep to just get it over with and calls him a fleet bastard. Ouch! This guy, Udalon, who's the son of Triton du Diento, was with the elf hunters and failed. His hand's already broken, and his dad's asking him if he even knows how to handle elves. He's gonna give him a nasty demonstration. Ark and Ariane Dimension move to the Lord's Palace. Ariane thinks they should go in through the bell tower since the Lord's chambers are probably at the top. As soon as they appear, they're spotted by guards. Ark uses Wyvern Slash to cut the bell, causing a huge commotion and drawing all the attention to the top of the building while they make their way down. Back in the room, Triton's still being a complete scumbag when a guard bursts in and tells him they've got intruders and calls them monsters. Ark and Ariane kick down the door and walk in. Udalon loses it and starts screaming that it's them. Triton tries to attack, but Ariane kicks him right in the junk. She rushes to the girls and tells them to chill. Udalon tries to bail, but Ark Dimension moves in front of him and stops him. Ark slams his head into the wall, making a huge hole. He notices a hidden room and calls Ariane over to check it out. Triton's all like, you won't get away with this. I'm a Rodin Kingdom Marquis, and Ariane just keeps beating him up. Ark asks if she's going too far, but she's like, they broke the treaty first. This is payback. She tells the 2 elves they can do whatever they want to him to get some satisfaction, and the girls start wailing on Triton. Guards rush in, and Ark tells Ariane to deal with them while he checks out the hidden room. She mops the floor with the guards and tells the girls to escape, and meet up with Danka so they can head for Lalatoya. Meanwhile, Ark's busy stuffing gold bars into a bag in the hidden room. Ariane asks what he's doing, and he's like, "You'd be surprised how much money you need to rebuild an organization." He wants to make sure they can't start another elf-napping ring. Suddenly, explosions start going off all over the building. They both decide to bail using gate, teleporting away from the castle with a massive haul of gold. Ark asks if he's fulfilled his contract, and Ariane thanks him. She gives him a small bag of gold and asks if it's enough, and he accepts it. She asks what he's gonna do now, and he says he doesn't have any plans. She asks if he wants to visit the elf lands with her, and says many of her people are still held captive, so she hopes he'll keep helping her. Ark really wants to go, but he asks if they'll accept an outsider like him. She says they'll have to meet with the elder and get his permission. Ark mentions he can't take off his armor. She says he'll at least have to show his face to the elder. She asks why, and he says there's a chance she'll turn her sword on him the moment he removes his helmet. She asks if he'll show her his face if she swears not to attack him, and he removes his helmet. Ariane is completely shocked. She asks what happened to him, and he says he doesn't know. He just woke up in this world with this new look. He figures it's some kind of curse. He's not gonna tell her he reincarnated as a video game character because she'd never believe him. She says if he was really undead, he'd have the corruption of death, and he wouldn't be able to use healing spells or have a spirit creature bonded to him. She tells him he's given her the strength to save her comrades, and because of that, his secret is safe with the elves. She thinks the elders might know how to help him with his curse. Ark's like, "That would be awesome. I want nothing more than to get rid of this thing." At Olav, the capital of the Rodan Kingdom, King Carlon Delfriat Rodan Olav is sweating the Marquis Diento situation. He's like, "Yo, who's behind this?" First Prince Sect Rondal Carlon Rodan Sadiez all. "Don't know yet, your highness, but the rumor mill's saying it's the elves." Second Prince Dakarez, Sishii Carlon Rodan Vetran looks super unimpressed. King Carlon's like, "Sect, why even bring up gossip?" Sect drops the bomb. Marquis Diento violated the treaty, snatching up elves and selling them to the Eastern Empire. He's like, "That old rumor makes total sense now." Second Princess Uriarna Meryl Melissa Rodan Olav is skeptical. Dakarez is like, "Sounds like total best to me. Got any real proof, Sect?" Sect snaps back. "Are you defending Diento, bro?" Dakarez slams the table, yelling at Sect not to trash the kingdom's honor with flimsy rumors. King Carlon's all, "Chill, dudes, chill." He agrees with Dakarez, saying they can't condemn the Marquis without solid evidence. But he also admits the rumors are worth looking into, making Sect smirk. Sect's like, "Let's investigate Diento as soon as possible." The king asks Uriarna for her take. She replies that she's heard the same rumors, and if they're true, it's not just breaking the treaty with the elves, it's potentially causing a war with other nations. Quick truth-finding is crucial, plus they need to talk to the elves as soon as possible. Uriarna explains that if the elves get ticked and cut off Limbolt, the kingdom is 10-seed with other countries getting mad. King Carlon knows the magical equipment shortage would suck, but cutting off the runestones for crops would cause noble revolts. He tasks Uriarna to head to Limbolt to set up talks with the elves. Ark and Ariane are trekking through the woods, not making much progress. Spotting some open space ahead, Ark uses Dimension Move to scout. Up ahead is a stream, perfect for water and even a fish for Ark to catch. That night, Ariane sends the Whispering Fowl back to Danka. Ariane tells Ark that Danka and the rescued girls are headed safely to Lalatoya. Ark asks if Lalatoya is still far. Ariane tells him that it's close and they should be there in a couple of nights. Back at Olav, Uriarna's maid, Ferna, serves her tea. Ferna asks if something's up. Uriarna confesses she's pretty sure her brother Dakarez is involved in the elf trade, and Sect won't let it go. Ferna excitedly says that once Dakarez gets ousted, the throne is open for Uriarna or Sect. Uriarna warns Ferna to watch her mouth and focus on the Limbolt mission. The Grand Duchy of Limbolt is the only place with trade ties to the elves. They need to get a meeting set up with the elves and stop things from escalating. Ferna says it would be great to see Uriarna's sister, Seriarna, who married into the Limbolt family. Ark and Ariane finally reach the elf settlement of Lalatoya. Ariane introduces herself and requests permission to enter. She tells Ark to chill while she gets the okay from the elder. The place is ancient and huge, probably been there for ages. After Ark waits forever, Ariane returns with the green light from the elder, and Ark enters. He's blown away by the elf village. He asks about the huge tree, and Ariane tells him that's where the elder lives. He meets Dylan Tog Lalatoya, the village elder, and his wife, Glenys, who is Arya's mom. Ark introduces himself as a traveling mercenary. It hits Ark that these are Ariane's parents. Glenys says she's currently 170 years old, and Ariane mentions she's 245. Dillion says Ariane filled him in on the situation and thanks them on behalf of all elves. He didn't expect her to attack a feudal lord's place, and Ariane explains that they broke the treaty first. Ark clarifies that they were rescuing girls captured by Diento's lords. Dillion understands why she did it, but he needs to explain it at the elders' meeting. Ariane wants to come along, and Dillion's down with that. He's heading to Maple tomorrow anyway, and they need to address the trafficking contract too. Glenys serves dinner, and Ariane tells Ark to relax. Dillion tells him he heard about his condition and that he doesn't need to worry about Glenny's and him. The next morning, Ark wakes up to Glenny's cleaning. She asks if he slept well. He asks if Dillion and Ariane already left, and she says they just did, and tells him to wait while she serves him breakfast. Dillion and Ariane are traveling and use the transport circle to Maple, prepped for them ahead of time. They pop up in the forest capital of Maple and head straight to the elders' meeting. The chief elder, Brian Boyd Evangeline Maple, tells Dillion he assumes he's there to report on the kidnapping investigation. Glenny's shows Ark around the settlement, explaining they absorbed smaller settlements for security, now numbering around 4,000. The other elves silently wonder what a human's doing there, some never having seen armor like that. The girls he rescued recognize him and excitedly greet him. The incident at the Lord's Palace is straight up careless. Breaking a 400-year treaty is basically a declaration of war. The land split in two during a war 600 years ago. It was just a generation ago for the elves, but ancient history for the humans because no one remembers. They suggest sending a notice to the Rodent Kingdom explaining the situation. Great Elder Fanga's Flan Maple disagrees, saying they don't need to justify themselves or risk compromising the mission by revealing details to the Rodent Kingdom. He tells them not to show weakness. Brian says the humans messed up by breaking the treaty, but sees attacking a lord's home as overkill, possibly triggering another war. He decides to continue liberating elves while closely watching the Rodent Kingdom's reaction. Ark spars with Glenny's in a field. She tells him she taught Ariane swordsmanship and thinks he's up to the task. As her mom, she needs to know if she can count on him. She totally schools him in the first fight, and Ark realizes he needs to learn swordplay if he wants to survive in this world. Dillion and Ariane are heading back, and Ariane apologizes to her dad. He says she had no choice as she did it to save their kind. He tells her she'll be continuing her search, and they'll hire Ark in an official capacity. He wishes he'd seen Even while in Maple. Ariane asks if he has business with her sister, and her dad reveals Even's getting married next year. Even runs to hug Ariane, relieved she caught them before they left. She tells Ariane she's proud and heard about all the elves she saved. She thinks Ariane's gotten stronger, but Ariane disagrees, saying she still has a ways to go compared to her. Ark and Glenny's are still throwing down, sparring and all, until nighttime rolls around. Glenny's is like, gotta make dinner before Dillion and Ariane get here. So, pre-dinner, Dillion's like, alright, gather round, let's talk strategy. Basically, at the elder meeting, they decided to keep digging into those contract names and keep freeing their peeps. He wants Ark to keep tagging along with Ariane. He's all, we're kinda broke, and you seem loaded. So instead of cash, we'll give you info. Info that could, like, break the curse on his body. He tells him about this spring near the Lord Crown that can supposedly break any curse. Ark's like, the what now? So Dillion explains that Dragon Lords are the top-tier dragonkin, and the Lord Crown is a super rare tree that grows where a Dragon Lord chills. And it's got spirits living in it that mess with the wood and leaves. But messing with those spirits is a major no-no cause the Dragon Lord will mess you up. Ark's all, so, suicide mission? Ariane chimes in, saying it's death for humans. But if an elf sets it up, they might get permission. Ark's like, deal, worth it. Later that night, Ark's up thinking, is this a curse or just how my avatar looks? He tries using uncurse on himself, starting with his right hand. Boom, hand turns human. Then, bam, back to skeleton hand. Ark keeps trying, but it keeps reverting after a bit. Next day, Ark and Ariane are trekking through the deep, dark woods. Ark's hoping to figure out if his curse is fixable. Ariane asks if he's good, and he's like, totally fine. They hit a clearing with a pond and head towards it. Ark spots giant bugs chilling by the pond, and as soon as they see him, it's bug attack time. And that night, Ariane's busting his chops. Why'd you bail on us like that? Turns out he's scared of bugs. She's totally teasing him about it. Then, she pulls out a map and thinks they should just cut through the forest instead of going around. Some bar lady overhears and warns them not to go in there because some haunted wolves have been attacking people. Like, 12 people. Ariane asks if the wolves have always been there, but the woman says they just showed up recently. Ark sees Ariane's itching to get to their destination, so he tells her to go for it, and she agrees to head into the forest the next day. Meanwhile, in Olav, a cart carrying the second princess rolls into town. Her maid asks why she doesn't want more guards, but Yui Rarna's all, too many guards, slow us down. Back in the woods, Ark and Ariane are walking where the monster sightings are popping off. Ariane mentions the haunted wolves have blue glowing tails, and are, like, the ultimate bride gift. Ark jokes about getting her some for a veil, but she shoots him down. Suddenly they sense monsters nearby, so they get ready to rumble. Ark slashes one wolf, and it vanishes. He figures it's an illusion. He remembers these wolves are known for illusion tactics to confuse their prey. He takes swings at more, but they're all fake-outs. And he sees a bunch charging Ariane and tries to warn her, but she blasts them with magic like it's nothing. He's impressed. Wolves are clinging to his armor, but can't get through. And he spots the pack leader watching from a distance, and uses Dimension Move to teleport right to it. The wolf dodges his attack and leaps into the air. Arc sees a magic rune on the wolf's foot, same kind that was on the basilisk. He tries the basilisk attack again, but the wolf dodges and attacks from behind. Arc hits it with flame magic at point-blank range, then slashes the rune on its foot. The wolf realizes it's lost its rune stone, so it calls its pack and they bail. Ariane catches up and asks what just happened. She sees the magic rune dissolving on the ground. Arc tells her about the rune, and how it's the same as the one on the giant basilisk. She wonders if these runes are why weird monsters are popping up. Arc can't confirm. Ariane asks for a moment, and he figures she wants to chase the wolves for her sister's sake. The princess's location isn't too far from them. Ferna tells her not to stress and tries to cheer her up. Yuriarna tells Ferna their mission to the Grand Duchy of Limbolt is on the DL under the king's orders. She suspects Dakares is involved in the elf trade and sex fighting for the throne, making her super uneasy. The cart suddenly stops, and they're under attack. Ariane catches 3 of the haunted wolves and hangs them upside down from a tree. Arc's thinking about the fight he just had, realizing he's got a long way to go even with all his skills. He figures magic skills are useless if you don't know how to use them. He decides to ask Ariane for combat training whenever he gets the chance. Ponta senses something nearby and alerts Ariane and Arc. She leads them to it. Yuriarna and Ferna are surrounded. The enemy opens the door, and Ferna tries to defend Yuriarna, but gets one-shotted. Yuriarna jumps out to help Ferna, but gets stabbed in the back and collapses. A hooded figure congratulates the attackers, telling them to make it look like bandits did it. Another dude hands him Yuriarna's necklace. Ponta jumps on one of the enemy's faces and tries to fight, but the dude grabs her and tries to kill her. Arc stops him and throws him off. He checks the situation, thinking about using resurrection magic on the princess and her maid. The enemies fire everything they've got at him, but it's useless. The wolves hunt them down, and Arc joins in. When they're done, the wolves leave. Arc checks on the girls and uses regeneration magic, a spell that fully restores people. It won't work if the damage is too much, or it's been too long. He revives the princess and tells Ponta to watch her while he fixes up the others. He tries it on everyone, but some are too far gone. When they wake up, Ferna tells Yuriarna what happened. They were brought back to life. Yuriarna rallies her soldiers, encouraging them to take her to Limbolt. Arc watches from the shadows, realizing she's royalty. He feels like he just made history. He heads back to Ariane. She asks what happened, but he keeps it vague. Ariane's already got the foxtails she's using as his veil, and they continue on to Olav, the royal capital. Olav's buzzing with life. Arc sees some dudes trying to hassle a girl and goes to help, but Ariane stops him. The girl walks up to Arc, making him nervous. He realizes it's that ninja from before. The ninja girl's like, "Yo, I'm a traveler trying to rescue my beast folk homies who got snatched by humans." So, she rolls into this town and bumps into this weird dude, right? He smells different, has this strange vibe. She remembers seeing him before with a spirit creature tagging along, so she knows he's not a bad guy. Now she's run into him again, and she's thinking, sweet, this is good luck. Cat-eared ninja girl gives him props for saving the elves and says she wants to chat, but not here. Ariane's all, "Arc, who's this chick?" Arc explains she's the one who gave him the info about the elves' location, but he doesn't even know her name. The ninja apologizes and introduces herself as Kiyome, one of the Jinshin clan's 6 ninjas. Kiyome takes them to a different spot where they can talk. Arc introduces himself as a traveling mercenary, and then introduces Ponta and Ariane to Chiyome. Chiyome gets straight to the point, asking why Arc called her a ninja the other day. He's like, "Back where I'm from, people dressed like you are called ninjas. Duh." She tells him that term is a secret, only her clan knows about it. She figures he's from the same country as her great founder, which totally intrigues Arc. The Arc asks if her great founder is still alive, but she says it was like 600 years ago, so he's basically a legend at this point. Arc's thinking, maybe her leader was a Japanese dude who got reincarnated into this world 600 years ago. Ariane asks Chiyome what she wants to talk to Arc about, but Chiyome hesitates. Arc remembers she was risking it all in Diento, looking for something. He figures it wasn't about the elves. Chiyome gets her courage up and tells Arc she needs his help freeing her comrades, confirming what he thought. Arc knows beastfolk get a raw deal in this world, so he figures her people are probably getting mistreated too. Chiyome says she thinks they're both hunting down people on a contract, and she'll give them info on their whereabouts if they help her. Arc tells her he's hired to help Ariane and her people right now. He asks Ariane if she's cool with him helping Chiyome. Chiyome's been trying to save her people since she was a kid, and Ariane sees they're in the same boat, so she agrees. She says she'll join Arc in helping Chiyome save her people. Prince Dakares is whining about the wolves not listening to him at the last second. His assistant asks if someone wrecked the rings. He figures Yuriarna is alive and taking a different route. His informant tells him that since the Diento thing, the beastfolk have been messing with their slave business more. He asks if the elves are after him, but the informant isn't sure, so he orders the informant to do something about it. He's going into hiding and heading for his safe house. Arc asks Chiyome if her great founder was a beastman like her, but she says he was human, He was a spy who took care of beast folk and taught them ninja stuff, making Ark think he was Japanese. They arrive at the biggest slave market in the capital, Etsat Market, and she tells them they're gonna raid the place. Inside, some slave traders are talking about prices, and another says business has been rough lately, but Prince Dakares will be happy. Chiyome tells them to strike hard and fast, then bail quick. Ariane's confused, but she says it'll give some slaves time to escape. Ark realizes Etsat is just a decoy, and other slave markets in the capital are getting hit at the same time. She knows they can't save everyone, and she's ready to sacrifice 10 to save hundreds. Ark and Ariane agree to stick with her to the end. He tells Kiyome he can use teleportation magic, which blows her mind. She says her great founder could do that too. Kiyome figures they can save the Etsat captives using Ark's teleport magic. She tells her comrades about the plan, and that the attack is tonight, so get ready. They head back to their inn and eat dinner to get ready for the night raid. Ark dresses up all weird, saying he's acting as a decoy, but Ariane hates the outfit. Chiyome shows up with this huge dude, and they introduce themselves. Ark asks if Chiyome's her real name, but she says no. She tells him some names are ranks based on ninja skills. He figures she's named after the famous Kunoichi, which is right. Goemon, the ninja with Chiyome, walks up to Ark and challenges him to a strength contest. They become instant bros, which leaves the girls speechless. They get into position and get ready to hit Etsat. Ark and Goemon act as decoys, walking up to the main gate guards and then charging. This makes other guards run to the noise, leaving their posts. Chiyome and Ariane use this chance to sneak into Etsat. Ark and Goemon cause a ruckus at the front gate. Ark fires magic at the guards and scares them. They call for more guards to surround the intruders, but they get wrecked easily. Prince Dakares is told Etsat is under attack, and he's not happy. The informant tells the second prince everything that's happening, and Dakares orders him to send in more men. In Etsat, Goemon and Ark are going wild on the guards. The ninjas sneak into Etsat, and the guards charge toward the front gate, giving Kiyome and Ariane a chance to break in. Ponta sees a guard looking their way and reacts, warning the girls. Chiyome uses her water-style ninja technique to take out a bunch of guards. More guards show up, and Ariane uses fire magic to blast them. They charge into the inner chambers and see tons of slaves in jail. Chiyome introduces herself and tells them her plan. She frees the slaves. More guards come into the jail room, but Ariane takes them out, giving Chiyome time to free everyone. Ark and Goemon get out of the rubble they made while fighting the guards and plan to hit the prison, but Chiyome and Ariane stop them. The girls tell the guys they freed the slaves in the main prison, and all that's left is the rear prison. Ark tells them to hurry up because reinforcements from the castle are coming. Goemon stays at the main prison to hold off reinforcements while Ark and the ladies head to the rear prison. They easily take out the guards and get to the underground. They free all the slaves, but they find a prison door with a cloth covering the bodies of prisoners. The other slaves tell them that the guards dump sick prisoners in that room. Chiyome is bummed, but Ark tells her they need to get the remaining slaves to safety. Outside the slave house, Goemon fights off a ton of guards by himself. Ark gathers the beast folk in a circle and teleports them to safety just before the building collapses. Ark leaves the slaves with the ladies and says he's got something to take care of. Goemon holds his own against the guards, but gets hurt by their weapons. Ark shows up just in time and thanks Goemon for holding out. He tells Goemon the mission is a success and all they have to do is take out the soldiers. Ark teleports the dead slaves to a safe spot so Ariane can cremate them properly. The souls of the fallen beast folk leave their bodies and dance into the sky. Dakares is losing it in his room, trashing everything cause Etsat's report was garbage. He's all like, gotta check this myself, but bam, his informant stabs him. He's bleeding out, asking, why? Before he blacks out, Sect strolls in just as Dakares goes down, thanking Cetrion, Dakares' informant. Sek's a snake, using Dakares' slave situation to his advantage, planning to announce Yuriarna's dead and pin it on Dakares. He dips, claiming the Rodent Kingdom is his now. Back in the forest, Chiyome's super grateful to Ark and Ariane for rescuing the beast folk. She's like, you guys are the best, everyone's safe. Goemon and Ark are at it again, another strength battle, and they're all, good game. Ariane tries to cheer Chiyome up, but she's determined to get even stronger. They're cruising on a boat through the Olaf Town canals, and Chiyome thanks them again, and they ask where she's headed. She finally spills the beans and decides to give them that info she promised. At the Grand Duchy of Limbolt, Princess Yuriarna arrives at the castle and her sister's there, ready to hug her. They're both crying happy tears. Her sister's like, girl, I thought you were dead. They said Dakares killed you. Yuriarna's shocked and needs the deets. So, they chat about the whole situation in the mansion. She tells Yuriarna that everyone thinks Dakares was behind it all, but Celtrion offed him. Yuriarna's freaked out cause Sek's gonna snatch the throne. She's all, why did they blame Dakares? Her sister explains that her fave necklace was found with him where he was killed. She's sus on Sect big time, thinks he planned everything. Her sister's just happy Yuriarna's alive and wants to tell their dad, but Yuriarna's against it, saying it'll be useful later. She asks her sister to help her meet with the elves for the sake of both races. Ariane sends a message via whispering fowl to Danka after hearing about the complicated situation. Ark remembers Kiyome mentioning the Revlon empires involved in the elf slave trade. He remembers Ariane's reaction and is stoked to travel internationally. Ariane tells him to hurry up and they bounce for the Revlon Empire. At the Revlon Empire, a guy tells the Emperor that Prince Dakares is dead and his bro sect did it. The Emperor's not happy. He was bankrolling Dakares. He asks if the princess is still alive, but the guy says she's dead. The informant says everything's going according to plan and smirks. He also says the beast rings were destroyed every time they were used. He throws out the possibility that someone else got the princess. The Emperor figures it's all Sect's doing. He asks about a guy named Fumba, and the informant says the plan to wreck Olav is underway. In the monster-filled wasteland, Ark's crew is staring at all these weird creatures. Ark's hyped when he realizes some of the flying things are wyverns. They try to send messages with the whispering fowl, but the sky's too full of wyverns. Ark jumps off a cliff and uses a lightning spell to fry them all, including his allies. He teleports and realizes he messed up big time. Someone's watching them from afar, taking notes. Ariane's complaining in a bar, saying she'd appreciate a warning before he uses massive magic again. He apologizes, and they talk about the route. Ark notices Ariane's face and asks what's up. He noticed she was reluctant to come to this empire after what Chiome said. She explains that capturing elves is legal here, which is super concerning. Since she's an elf, it's way more dangerous for her, and she admits she's nervous. A stranger with glasses comes up to them, saying he saw them in the desert earlier. He introduces himself as Karsi, but Ariane smashes a vase over his face. She's like, why would an elf show his ears in a human town? Ariane's shocked at how chill everyone is about an elf and a human talking. The bar's customers even invite Karsi over for a meal. She demands an explanation. Karsi calms her down and joins their table. He says he's lived here for 10 years and wants a world where humans and elves can coexist. Ariane asks if he knows what humans have done. Karsi agrees, but reminds her she's traveling with a human. She says Ark's different, and Ark asks what Karsi wants. Karsi says he studies plants for a living and needs help finding some specimens. Ariane says no way, they're busy. Karsi hands them a map of the region empire, and they're shocked he has what they need. They think he's eavesdropping, but he just asks if they want it. Ark asks Ariane, and she agrees. He tells Karsi they'll head out tomorrow. Ariane's sus of Karsi, but doesn't say anything. Ark and Ariane get a room at an inn, and Ariane's thinking about elves and humans coexisting, and she's worried. They're both drinking all night, and Ariane gets hammered and jumps on Ark, trashing the room because of the booze. The next day, Ariane wakes up and sees a skeleton on the floor. She tries to attack it, but Ark reminds her it's him. She asks if anything happened and he stays quiet. And later, they meet up with Karsi in the desert. Karsi says they made a racket all night and the whole town heard them. Ariane gets mad at that and draws her sword. While they're traveling, Ark notices Ariane looks sick from motion sickness and her hangover. He notices the stink from the goblin carcasses isn't helping. Karsi says the dead goblins will be bait for sandworms, which he's trying to catch. One of the riders gives Ark tea that helps with hangovers and motion sickness. Ariane's nervous around the humans, but Karsi tries to calm her. Ark offers Ariane the tea, and she's surprised at how good it is. Ark asks Karsi about the specific worm he's tracking, and Karsi gets into detail. He says the worm's weak to fire and comes out at night to eat corpses. He says he's studying them to find a way to prevent casualties. Ark praises him and says he'd love to hear more about the monsters Karsi studied. Ariane looks out of the wagon and notices the other wagons are gone, so she alerts them. A giant sandworm pops out of the ground and tries to attack a crashed wagon. Ariane jumps out to attack the sandworm with flame magic, but it's useless. The monster goes for Ariane, but Ark saves her just in time, stopping it before it bites her. He tells her to rescue their ally while he buys her time. As soon as she does, she tells him. Ark goes wild, picking up the sandworm and slamming it on the ground, which surprises everyone. Karsi thanks him and hands him the map to the Empire. Ariane asks Karsi why he lives among humans, and he says it's because he loves them. Ariane's shocked and asks why. He says his time with the elves gave him a bad impression of humans, but living with them, he realizes they're not so different. He wants a time when elves and humans can live hand in hand. She says she can't imagine it, and he's surprised because she hasn't heard the news about Lambert. He tells them the Lord of Lambert married an elf, and she flips out. She wonders if the elf was forced into it, but he explains that it's mutual. Ark and Ariane are headed to where they need to go, and Ariane's all like, yo, is it even possible for humans and elves to, like, coexist? Ark's like, chill, one day it'll happen. I'm human, you're an elf, right? She just rolls her eyes and says he barely looks human, so he doesn't count. Meanwhile, some dude is yelling at this other guy with a tattoo, blaming him for all the disappearances. He's pissed that the tattooed dude used their secret hideout to party with chicks. He's all, what's the plan, man? The tattooed dude just tells him to take a walk with him. He leads him to this huge crater filled with monsters and shoves one of the girls in. Monsters, nom nom nom. Ark and Ariane roll up to the border of Kayeshk, which means they're in the Revlon Empire. They notice the border is super tight and start brainstorming their next move. They decide to split up and search for elves around town, asking if anyone's seen any. Later that day, Ark's feeding Ponta and starts thinking about what he learned from the townsfolk. Apparently, there have been weird noises coming from a fortress in the east late at night, and monsters have been popping up on the borders, causing people to vanish. Ark's surprised Keshk is so sketch. He's also bummed he hasn't found any info on elves. He's about to meet up with Ariane when he hears someone screaming nearby, so he runs to check it out. Some bandits are hassling a lady, so Ark busts in to save the day. She's so grateful she hugs him tight. Ariane walks in at that exact moment and totally misinterprets the situation. Ark's all, "Chill, it's not what it looks like." She scolds him for always sticking his nose where it doesn't belong. Ariane sends the girl home after confirming she's okay. Ariane's still steaming from what she saw, so she storms off ahead of him. Over at the fortress in the east, the tattooed dude is chewing out the guys Ark roughed up earlier for letting the lady escape. They're just playing the blame game, passing the buck. The tattooed dude, Fumba, is so over it, he lets one of his monsters eat them. Then he goes to check on his monsters in the huge hole and promises them some grub. Ariane's filling Ark in as they stand near the fortress. She says elves were brought to the fortress a few months back. Ark figures they're probably gone by now, and Ariane agrees, but she still thinks they should check it out. So they head over. They sneak into the fortress, but it's deserted. They search around and stumble upon a secret passage leading underground. They sense some serious beast vibes below, but they go down anyway. They use Ponta as bait to distract the guards and take them out. Behind the door, the stench of monsters is intense. They keep going and find this bizarre underground passage. Fumba shows up complaining and sees them. He starts drooling over Ariane, which totally creeps her out. And as soon as Fumba claims Ariane as his, she starts attacking Ark. Fumba realizes Ariane's a dark elf and is stoked he hit the jackpot. He orders her to kill Ark. Ark tries to use uncursed magic, but it fails. Ariane has a vision where her sister, Devon, is staring down at her. Devon calls her weak and says she needs to train to get stronger. She commands her to show how strong she is, but in reality, she's fighting Ark. He keeps using the uncursed spell, but it's not working, and she keeps attacking. He thinks his spell is working, but something's blocking it. He studies Ariane as she attacks and catches a glimpse of a monster in her hoodie. Ponta jumps in and pulls out the mini monster, giving Ark the chance to burn it off. Ark realizes it's an imp, and it was casting illusions while clinging onto Ariane. Fumba introduces himself as Rosambanya, a monster sorcerer. He boasts that he can control monsters, and Ark suspects he's the one behind the monster attacks in the forests. He asks Fumba what happened to the elves brought to the fortress 4 months ago, but Fumba casually says most of them are gone. He details how he brutally treated them, and Ark loses it. He one-shots the giant creature behind Fumba with a single swing and screams at him. Fumba summons a bunch of creatures to fight Ark. Ark sees a lot of tougher monsters than he's ever fought, but he goes berserk and kills each one with a single stroke. Fumba keeps summoning more monsters, but Ark keeps mowing them down. One monster gets close to Ariane and tries to take her out while she's unconscious, but Chiome jumps in to stop him. Fumba tries to call out his monsters, but she tells him it's pointless because most of them are already toast. Ark asks what Chiome is doing there, and she's surprised Ariane didn't tell him anything about her plans. He figures she's the one who gave Ariane the intel about the fortress. The entire fortress starts shaking, and Fumba smiles, saying his masterpiece has awakened. He runs off, leaving them to fight his monster, but Ark teleports out of the fortress right before it collapses. The monster bursts forth from the fortress, and Ark realizes it's a top-tier monster with mastery over the highest class of water magic, a Hydra. Ark starts his whole hero intro spiel, saying he has to fight this abomination. Chiome starts rambling about the Hydra being the infamous ruiner of nations, and asks if the dude from before is controlling it. Ark confirms it. Chiome keeps going on about how humans can control a beast of that scale. Ark notices 5 rings on the Hydra's chest. She says they need to prepare before fighting it and suggests they bail. One of the Hydra's heads spots them and shoots fire from its mouth. Ark tries to shield the unconscious Ariane. Fumba stops controlling the Hydra and starts cackling, asking how they like the taste of his power while claiming he wiped them out. Back at his village, Fumba is arguing with the elders, demanding the credit he deserves. He brags that no one in the clan can compare to him. One of the elders calls him weak and says he's seeking superficial strength, so they won't approve of him. The Hydra stomps around while Fumba admires its power, convinced that he'll be unstoppable and everyone who looked down on him will bow to him. He sends the Hydra toward a town to destroy it. Ark managed to activate his shield in time, saving him from the rubble. Chiome's all, "You could barely block that." Ark laughs and says he's just a mercenary following Lady Ariane, then starts looking for her. He spots her standing on a rock, already conscious, and she says she was just under an illusion. She looks at Ark and says they should go find Fumba, so she can make him regret what he did to the kids. Ariane and Chiome start brainstorming a plan, and as they get ready to move, Ariane tells Ark to follow them. Then she notices he's staring at the Hydra heading towards the town. After some debate, he tells them he can take it down. Ariane tells Kiyome to follow her to search for Fumba. She tells Arc to deal with the Hydra before she leaves. At the palace, this noble dude's giving the Emperor the deets. He's like, "Yo, the Hydra project? It's ready to roll." The Emperor's all smiles, but he's got this creepy vibe when he asks what he should do with Fumba. Meanwhile, the Hydra's still creeping towards town, and the gatekeepers are ringing the alarm bells like crazy. The commander's bossing the soldiers around, telling them where to evacuate everyone while he gets his squad ready to defend the land the Emperor entrusted to them. One of the Hydra's heads tries to blast some breath attack, but Arc swoops in with a wyvern slash. The other heads try to get him, but he's just laying down the smackdown. He even uses his combat skill to chop off a head, but it's like, "Nah fam, I regenerate." Arc's like, "Okay, mythological beast confirmed," and backs off to cast a spell. He summons Ifrit, the Inferno demon, to take on the Hydra, whose heads are already back. Ifrit's all, "What up?" And Arc's like, "Hydra, you're not going any further." Ariane, Chiome, and Panta are booking it through the forest, looking for Fumba. They see Arc summoning Ifrit, and Panta's senses tingle. He bolts off, and the other two chase after him, yelling his name. Fumba's mega pissed, about to give the Hydra orders, when Ariane interrupts him with a fireball. He dodges, of course, sees her, and starts with the ex-lover talk. Like, "You came back for more?" She's all, "Nah, I came to kill you." He just laughs. Ariane acknowledges the Hydra's power, but starts trash-talking Fumba, calling him weak. This triggers Fumba's flashbacks to when some elder told him he was weak. He angrily attacks her, but she nullifies all his attacks. When he's cornered, he tries to command the Hydra, but Chiome jumps him from behind, messing up the curse mark he's using. Fumba just laughs and says the Hydra's out of his control now and will eat everyone in town. She tells him Arc will handle it while she takes away any chance he has to fight back and then sets him on fire to end his reign of terror. Ifrit starts the beatdown with a punch straight to one of the Hydra's heads, then slams into its chest, sending it flying. Arc teleports over, grabs the Hydra's tail, and starts spinning it around like a ragdoll. After a while, he throws it into the air and activates Ifrit's skill. Flame Fire! Ifrit unleashes a massive breath attack that completely obliterates the Hydra while Ariane and Chiome watch the destruction from afar. The sun starts to rise, and Arc rushes over, asking if they're okay. He asks Ariane if she took care of things on her end, and she says she did. She then asks Arc what Ifrit is, and he explains he summoned the creature from another dimension and that it would return soon. A whispering fowl from Donka lands on Ariane's hand, delivering a message that Roden's second princess, Yuriarna, is meeting with Lord Fangas, one of the great elven elders. Ariane is surprised. Over at the Roden Royal Castle, Yuriarna is making a pitch to the elves. She proposes that the Roden Kingdom will take on the responsibility of finding their missing kin. She swears on the honor of the royal family that they'll make up for men breaking the pact and prosecuting the elves. Fangas isn't buying it and asks what else she wants. She mentions her siblings' backing, which tips Fangas off that she wants the elves' support for the throne. She convinces him that Roden will support them, while also pointing out that the Lord of Lambert took an elf wife, emphasizing human and elven coexistence. She offers her hand. Fangas agrees and shakes it. Arc and the gang are walking back to the city, and Arc's trying to cheer Ariane up about losing her job. Meanwhile, back at Sek's castle, one of the prince's goons tells him that his sister, Yuriarna, is still alive. He says her negotiation with the elves was a success, and that she's winning over the people. The prince starts to think about the failed assassination, suspecting one of his own guys is a traitor. In Yuriarna's room, she's lying in bed, thinking about getting stabbed and dying. She sees being alive as a chance to make a difference, and decides to face whatever comes next without hesitation. In the Emperor's throne room, one of his noble minions informs him that the Hydra and Fumba are dead, and he's not sweating it though, talking about how useful those employee rings are and how interested he is in the person who slayed the beast. While Arc is chatting with his team, he takes off his helmet, and Chiome sees his skeleton head. She screams and hides behind a tree, while Ariane figures it's probably some kind of curse. Arc asks Ariane what she'll do when she gets back to Lalatoya, and she says she'll take him to Lord Crown so he can use the spring that breaks curses. Arc also mentions he'd love to check out Chiome's ninja village. Arc's journey started with the goal of chilling and living the quiet life, but with his new friends, he's putting that on hold and decides to enjoy the adventure a little longer.